You see, every morning before the world calls your name, before the messages arrive, before the expectations pile upon you, before the noise of 10,000 voices enters your mind, there is a moment, a very small moment. And in that moment, you still belong entirely to yourself. Most people, they do not recognize this moment. They sleep through it, they rush past it, they reach for the phone before the eyes are even fully open, and suddenly comparison, fear, the lives of strangers, the urgency of the world, all of it floods in before you have even remembered who you are. And then they wonder, why do I feel anxious? Why do I feel behind? Why does the day feel like it is already slipping through my fingers before I have taken one breath? I will tell you why. Because you did not protect the gate. In the Shaolin tradition, we say the mind is like still water. In the early morning before disturbance, it is a lake without a single ripple. And whatever you place into that water first, whatever thought, whatever image, whatever fear, it creates ripples. And those ripples do not stop. They travel outward. They shape the entire day. So the question is not whether you will place something into the mind. The question is, what will you place and who will place it? You or the world? When you allow the world to speak first, your mind becomes a home for the voices of others. When fear speaks first, the entire day is governed by defense. When comparison enters first, you begin the morning already feeling small. Already feeling not enough. You do not lack time, you lack command over the first moments. Marcus Aurelius, he understood this. He said, the quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. This is not decoration. This is not a sentence you hang on a wall and forget. This is a warning. Because thoughts do not simply pass through the mind and vanish. No, you repeat a thought, it becomes a belief. You repeat a belief, it becomes an action. You repeat an action, it becomes character. And character, over time, becomes destiny. Every morning you are casting a vote, quietly, silently, for the person you are becoming. You can vote for panic, for procrastination, for self-doubt, or you can vote for stillness, for awareness, for discipline. The brain is not stone, it is not fixed. It changes according to what you repeatedly think, what you repeatedly feel, what you repeatedly practice. The pathways grow stronger through attention, through language, through emotion, through action. What you say to yourself each morning is not meaningless words floating in the air. No, it is the material. It is the brick and the mortar from which your inner world is constructed. When you tell yourself every morning, I am weak, I cannot, I am not ready, life will find ways to confirm this. The mind seeks evidence for what it already believes. But when you say, I can choose my response, slowly the mind learns to pause before reacting. When you declare today is what matters most, you become less chained to the past, less frightened of a future that has not yet arrived. But understand, this is not empty affirmation. Do not confuse this with repeating pretty words while refusing to move the body. No sentence can save a person who will not act. Words gain power only when they become instructions for the body, for behavior, for the next step. You say calmness, then you slow the breath, you slow the body, you slow the hands. Someone insults you, you say discipline, and you do not strike back with words. You walk away, you return to your task. The body wants more sleep. You say this is the training. And you place the feet on the floor, you stand, you begin. The phone calls to you. You say presence, and you set it down. You face the work in front of you. This is how the mind is trained. Not through one dramatic moment of inspiration. Not through one video that makes you feel powerful for 10 minutes. No. Through small decisions, repeated, in silence, when no one is watching, when no one is applauding. You do not have to conquer your entire life this morning. You only have to refuse to hand the steering wheel to fear. You only have to sit up, breathe deeply. And remember, before you are an employee, before you are a parent, before you are a leader, before you are a person carrying the weight of responsibilities, you are the guardian of your own mind. And no one can perform this duty for you. Not your teacher, not your partner, not your friend, you. The world will always try to plant urgency inside your thoughts, scarcity, anxiety, the feeling that you are running out of time. But you have the power to decide what is allowed to remain, what is allowed to take root. Morning is the gate, the mind is the battlefield. And the first thing you choose to believe will determine whether you enter the day as someone controlled by the world, or as someone who has finally awakened. And when you reclaim those first minutes, you begin to see something deeper. A truth that was always there, but hidden beneath the noise. The world does not control you as completely as you once believed. Yes, events arrive without permission. People disappoint you. Plans collapse. Circumstances shift before you are ready. This is the nature of life. This is impermanence. But none of these things can decide the final shape of your character, unless you surrender that authority. Because between what happens to you and what you do next, there is a space. And inside that space lives your freedom. Most people never enter this space. They react before they understand. They speak before they think. They defend before they listen. They allow one moment of anger to command an entire day. And this is why so many lives are not truly lived. They are merely reactions, repeated until they become habits. Repeated until the person forgets there was ever a choice. You may not control the words someone throws at you, but you control whether those words become poison in your mind. You may not control rejection, delay, betrayal, loss, but you control whether pain becomes bitterness or whether pain becomes wisdom. This is the beginning of self-mastery, not the ability to avoid difficulty, no, the ability to remain conscious inside it. Viktor Frankl, he spoke of this space between stimulus and response. He found it in the darkest place a human being can be placed, and in that space he found the one power that could not be taken, the power to choose. And this power, it is not reserved for philosophers, not for monks in the mountains, not for extraordinary people. It is present in you. Every time you pause instead of exploding, every time you breathe instead of attacking, every time you ask, what is true here, before obeying what you feel. Your first emotion may be automatic. This is natural. This is the body. But your next action does not have to be automatic. Anger may rise. Fear may tighten the chest. Pride may demand that you prove yourself. But these forces, they are not your masters. They are signals, not commands. The undisciplined mind obeys every signal, every impulse, every passing wind of emotion. The trained observes, examines, and chooses. This is why your response matters more than the event itself. The event may last 1 minute, but an unconscious reaction can create consequences that last for years. One impulsive sentence can destroy trust built over a decade. One moment of pride can close a door that never opens again. One decision made in fear can pull you away from the life you were meant to build. Yet the opposite is also true. One calm response can protect a relationship. One disciplined silence can preserve your dignity. One clear decision made in stillness can redirect your entire future. You are not a character trapped inside a story written by other people. You are the author of what happens next. You cannot rewrite every page that came before. No. But you still hold the pen today. This does not mean pretending pain does not exist. This does not mean becoming cold, passive, empty. No, it means refusing to let emotion become your ruler. Feel what you feel, but do not become what you feel. Let anger visit, but do not build it a home. Let fear speak, but do not let it give the orders. Let sadness pass through you, but do not hand it the map of your future. Every reaction is a vote for the kind of person you are becoming. Each time you choose patience, you strengthen patience. Each time you choose restraint, you strengthen restraint. Each time you choose clarity over impulse, you build a mind that can remain steady when life becomes uncertain. This is how freedom is practiced. Not in grand declarations, not in speeches. In the quiet discipline of choosing your response, again and again and again. The next time someone provokes you, do not ask only what they deserve. Ask, what kind of person do I want to be in this moment? The next time life closes a door, do not ask only why this happened. Ask, what is this moment asking me to develop? The next time fear tells you to retreat, do not obey immediately. Stop, breathe, and remember, you are not powerless. You may not choose the storm, but you choose how you stand inside it. You may not control the pressure, but you choose whether it crushes you or shapes you. And once you understand this, once you understand that you can choose how you stand inside the storm, you begin to see adversity differently. What once looked like punishment may become training. What once felt like resistance may become direction. Growth rarely arrives wearing the face of comfort. Understand this, growth comes through pressure, through uncertainty, through rejection, through delay, through loneliness, through those moments when the person you used to be can no longer carry the life you are trying to build. This is why discomfort is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it is evidence that something within you is being strengthened. The body grows stronger when it meets resistance. You know this from training. You place the weight upon the muscle, and the muscle must adapt or fail. The mind develops in the same way. Enna taught this. He said difficulty strengthens the mind as labor strengthens the body. A muscle that is never challenged becomes weak. A mind that is always protected from difficulty becomes fragile, becomes soft. Breaks at the first sign of pressure. When life removes comfort, it may also be removing the walls that have kept your strength hidden. Yet most people run from this process. They interpret pain as failure, uncertainty as danger, delay as rejection. They ask, how do I escape this struggle? Before asking, what is this struggle trying to teach me? But the path of self-mastery requires a different question. Instead of asking why life is doing this to you, ask what life is developing within you. Perhaps this moment is teaching patience. Perhaps the rejection is breaking your dependence on approval. Perhaps the delay is strengthening discipline. Perhaps the loneliness is forcing you to meet the parts of yourself that noises once allowed you to avoid. This is the spirit of amor fati, to love what happens. Not because every event is pleasant. No. But because every event can be used. You do not have to celebrate the wound, you have to refuse to waste it. You do not have to pretend that loss feels good. You have to decide that loss will not leave you empty-handed. Every difficulty carries material. Pain can become awareness. Failure can become precision. Humiliation can become humility. Fear can become preparation. The event itself may not be chosen, but the meaning you build from it still belongs to you. This is where growth lives. It does not live in the moment when everything goes according to plan. It lives in the moment when the plan collapses and you choose not to collapse with it. It lives when your confidence disappears and you continue through discipline. It lives when nobody applauds and you keep practicing. It lives when progress becomes invisible and you remain committed. The mind often wants proof before effort. It says, show me the result first, then I will work. But real transformation demands effort before proof. You may have to walk for a long time before the road reveals where it is leading. You may have to continue without recognition, without certainty, without immediate reward. This is not wasted time. This is the hidden season. This is when roots grow beneath the surface where no one can see them. Anxiety will tell you that pressure means you are breaking. Awareness will remind you that pressure can also shape you. A stone under pressure may crack, but carbon under pressure can become diamond. The difference is not the absence of force. The difference is how that force is received, how it is transformed. When fear rises, do not spend all your energy trying to destroy it. Listen, what is it revealing? Fear may show you where preparation is missing. It may reveal where your identity is still dependent on success. It may point toward the boundary you must cross. Use that information. Turn nervous energy into movement. Turn uncertainty into preparation. Turn discomfort into proof that you are no longer standing where you once stood. You are not required to enjoy every challenge. You are required to remain awake inside it. Do not become addicted to suffering, but do not become afraid of it either. Pain is a teacher, but only when you stop arguing with every lesson. The obstacle before you is not separate from the path. It may be the path. The difficult conversation, the early morning, the failed attempt, the lonely season, the discipline nobody sees. These are not interruptions to your transformation. They are the place where transformation occurs. And when you stop demanding that life become easier, you become capable of becoming stronger. Then adversity loses its power to define you. It becomes raw material in your hands. You no longer ask for a life without pressure. You ask for the clarity to use pressure. You no longer pray only for the storm to end. You train yourself to walk through it with steadiness. And as you continue, you discover that growth is not waiting somewhere beyond this difficult moment. Growth is already here, but it can only be touched in the present moment. The past may explain you. The future may call you forward, but neither can be lived. Only today can receive your effort. Only this hour can hold your attention. Only this moment can become action. Yet the mind often refuses to remain where life is happening. It returns to old mistakes, rehearses old conversations, rebuilds pain that has already passed. Then it escapes into the future, imagining failure, rejection, loss, problems that have not arrived. In this way, a person can suffer through yesterday and tomorrow, while completely missing today. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to confine his attention to the present. This was not an invitation to ignore responsibility. This was a discipline of power. Because when your mind is divided between what cannot be changed and what cannot yet be known, your strength is divided with it. Regret pulls you backward. Anxiety drags you forward. Presence returns you to the only place where you can choose. You cannot correct yesterday from inside your memory. You correct it by living differently today. You cannot control tomorrow by worrying harder. You prepare for it by doing the work that belongs to this moment. The present is not small. It is the doorway through which every future enters. Every habit is practiced now. Every decision is made now. Every act of courage begins now. The life you keep postponing is built from ordinary moments that seem unimportant while they are passing. Drink the water, make the bed, open the page, take the walk, finish the task, speak the truth. These actions may look too simple to transform a life, but a life is rarely rebuilt in one dramatic event. It is shaped by what you repeatedly do when no moment appears dramatic. The mind creates pressure by trying to carry the entire road at once. It looks at the distance and becomes exhausted before the first step. It imagines every challenge, every possible failure, and calls this preparation. But it is not preparation, it is mental noise. Real preparation asks one question: what is required of me now? Not next month, not when I feel ready, not when fear disappears, now. When the answer is clear, return your attention to the next honest action. The future does not need your panic. It needs your discipline. The past does not need your punishment. It needs your understanding. Today needs your presence. Treat this day as a complete life. Wake as if you have been given the beginning. Work as if your actions carry weight. Speak as if your words cannot be taken back. Rest as if the day deserves a peaceful ending. This does not mean sadness disappears. This does not mean uncertainty becomes easy. It means you stop adding imaginary suffering to real difficulty. You carry what is here, instead of carrying every possible burden at once. When pain arises, meet this pain. When work appears, do this work. When rest is needed, take this rest. The mind becomes stable when it stops traveling without purpose. Each time you notice yourself returning to regret, come back to the breath. Each time you find yourself predicting disaster, come back to the body. Feel the feet on the ground. Look at what is in front of you. Name the next action. Presence is not passive. It is the highest form of participation. It is the refusal to abandon your life for memories and predictions. You may believe that your most important day will arrive when you achieve more, when you heal completely, when you gain recognition, when you finally feel confident. But the most important day is always the one you are living, because it is the only day that can change the direction of the next one. Do not wait for life to become meaningful before you give it your attention. Attention is what gives life meaning. The person you want to become is not waiting in some distant future. That person is being formed by the way you think, speak, and act today. You do not need to carry the whole year this morning. You do not need to repair your entire past tonight. You need only to honor the moment in your hands. When you do that, the present stops feeling ordinary. It becomes sacred ground. And from that ground, a quieter truth begins to rise. Your worth was never dependent on how far you have traveled. This is the truth many people spend years avoiding. Because the world trains you to measure yourself through achievement, through appearance, through status, through praise, through approval. From an early age, you learn to believe that love must be earned, that respect must be chased, that your value rises or falls according to how well you perform. So you begin running on a machine that never stops. You reach one goal and another appears. You receive one compliment and soon you need another. You prove yourself in one room, then enter the next room afraid that you will be exposed as not enough. This is not ambition, this is captivity disguised as progress. There is nothing wrong with growth, nothing wrong with excellence, nothing wrong with accomplishment. The danger begins when you use them to purchase a sense of worth that should never have been for sale. When your value depends on results, every failure becomes an attack on your identity. Every rejection becomes evidence that something is wrong with you. Every person who does not understand you becomes a judge in a court that exists only inside your mind. Then you live as a prisoner of opinions you cannot control. You adjust your voice, your choices, your dreams, even your personality, to remain acceptable. Slowly, you abandon yourself while trying to convince others not to abandon you. But self-mastery requires a return. It requires you to stand still long enough to remember that you were a human being before you became a title, before you became a role, before you became a success or a disappointment. Your value is not a reward for perfect behavior. It is not granted by applause. It is not removed by failure. You do not become more worthy when someone chooses you, and you do not become less worthy when someone walks away. Their decision may affect your life, but it does not define your essence. To say that you are enough does not mean you have nothing left to learn. It does not mean every habit should remain unchanged, or that every weakness should be protected. It means that growth begins from respect, not from self-hatred. You can improve your discipline without declaring war on your humanity. You can correct your mistakes without turning yourself into the mistake. You can want more from life without believing that you are nothing until you receive it. A tree does not hate its roots because it has not yet reached its full height. It grows because growth is its nature. You must learn to do the same. Stop treating yourself as a broken object that must be repaired before it deserves care. You are not a project waiting to become lovable. You are a person learning how to return to what was always present. When the mind says you are behind, ask who created the timeline. When it says everyone else is doing better, ask why their path has become the measure of yours. Comparison is a form of blindness. It forces you to stare at the visible surface of another life while ignoring the invisible depth of your own. You see their result but not their fear. You see their confidence but not their private battles. You see their season of harvest and condemn yourself for still planting seeds. Release this violence against yourself. Your journey does not become meaningless because it moves at a different pace. Your value does not shrink because someone else shines. Light is not a limited resource. The strength of another person does not take strength away from you. Each morning, remind yourself. You do not need to audition for your place in the world. You do not need to perform peace. You do not need to prove your pain. You do not need to become extraordinary before you are allowed to stand with dignity. Let your actions come from clarity, not from hunger for validation. Work because the work matters. Train because discipline frees you. Speak honestly because truth keeps you whole. Love because love reflects your nature, not because you are bargaining for acceptance. The moment you stop begging the world to tell you who you are, a great amount of energy returns. That energy was once spent reading faces, chasing approval, defending your image, fearing rejection. Now it can be used to build, to serve, to create, to live. This is the quiet power of knowing that you are enough. It does not make you passive. It makes you stable. It does not end ambition. But you no longer climb to prove that you deserve to exist. You climb because there is something within you worth expressing. And when your worth is no longer controlled by outcomes, you become ready for a deeper form of freedom. The freedom to give your full effort without demanding that life obey your plans. Much of human exhaustion does not come from action itself. It comes from the attempt to control what was never placed in our hands. We try to control how others see us, how quickly opportunities arrive, how relationships unfold, how long healing takes, whether our work receives the recognition we believe it deserves. We confuse influence with ownership. We can influence a conversation, but we cannot command another person to understand. We can prepare carefully, but we cannot force the perfect result. We can love sincerely, but we cannot make someone remain. We can plant the seed, protect the soil, water it each day, but we cannot pull the stem from the ground before its time. The more tightly we grip what cannot be controlled, the more peace escapes through our hands. This is why acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is the intelligence to see reality clearly. It is the decision to stop arguing with what has already happened, to stop spending strength on doors that do not respond to force. The Stoics understood this. Peace begins with a simple distinction. Some things belong to you, some things do not. Your judgment belongs to you, your effort belongs to you. Your preparation, your conduct, your attention, your response, these belong to you. The opinions of others do not, the past does not, timing does not, chance does not. The final outcome is never completely yours. When you fail to make this distinction, you place your emotional stability in the hands of strangers, circumstances, and events. A delayed answer ruins your day. A cold expression makes you question your worth. A change of plans feels like betrayal. A result you cannot predict becomes a prison inside your mind. You begin to believe that peace will come only when everything is settled. But life is never completely settled. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be people you cannot please, questions you cannot answer, outcomes you cannot guarantee. If peace depends on certainty, peace will always remain in the future. The practice is to bring it back into the present. Ask yourself, what is mine to do now? Prepare with care, speak with honesty, act with courage, correct what can be corrected. Then release the demand that reality must reward you exactly as expected. This is not indifference, this is disciplined participation. You remain fully engaged. But you stop confusing attachment with commitment. Commitment says I will give my best. Attachment says, life must give me what I want. Commitment creates strength. Attachment creates fear. The person who is attached to one outcome becomes fragile, because every unexpected turn feels like destruction. The person who is committed to right action remains steady, because meaning is found in the quality of the effort. You may not receive the position. You can still leave with integrity. The relationship may end. You can still leave with wisdom. The plan may fail. You can still carry forward the discipline that the process built within you. Nothing is completely wasted when you refuse to waste the lesson. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop trying to dominate life through worry. Worry often pretends to be responsibility, but it rarely changes the outcome. It only forces you to experience imagined pain before reality has spoken. Preparation is useful. Repetition of fear is not do what can be done. Then allow the rest to unfold without turning uncertainty into punishment. When the mind begins chasing every possible future, return to what belongs to you, your breath, your posture, your next decision, your next honest action. This is where your authority lives, not in controlling the entire road, in choosing how you walk the ground beneath your feet. You may influence the weather of your life, but you will never command every storm. Build the shelter, strengthen the body, learn to read the sky, then accept that the wind will move as it moves. There is dignity in this surrender, not the surrender of defeat, the surrender of illusion. You release the belief that control is the same as safety. You discover that real safety comes from trusting your ability to respond. The future does not have to follow your script for you to remain whole. Life does not have to become predictable for you to become peaceful. Give your best to what is yours, release what is not. In that balance, the mind stops fighting the world and begins working with reality, and from this quiet cooperation, you become prepared for the final task, to build these principles into a daily practice, until you are no longer a prisoner of old patterns, but the conscious architect of your own mind. To become the conscious architect of your own mind is not to control every thought that appears. No, it is to choose which thoughts are allowed to become foundations. A mind left untrained will build itself from fear, from comparison, from impulse, from memory, from the opinions of the world. It will repeat whatever enters most often. It will strengthen whatever receives the most attention. This is why your mornings matter. This is why your words matter. This is why the first instructions you give yourself each day slowly become the structure of your life. You have learned that you can choose your response even when you cannot choose the event. You have learned that growth is often hidden inside discomfort, and that adversity can become material for strength. You have learned that today is the only place where power can be used. You have learned that your worth does not rise and fall with success, rejection, praise, or approval. You have learned to give your full effort while releasing what does not belong to your control. These are not 5 beautiful ideas to remember for a few minutes, and then forget they are 5 disciplines to practice until they become part of your character. Each morning say them slowly. I choose my response, growth is here. Today matters most, I am enough. I release what is not mine to control. Do not repeat them like someone waiting for magic. Repeat them like someone giving direction to a mind that has spent years wandering without a map. Then prove each word through action. When anger rises, choose your response. When resistance appears, remember that growth is here. When regret returns or anxiety pulls you forward, come back to today. When comparison attacks your confidence, remember that you are enough. When the outcome refuses to obey your plan, release what was never yours to command. This is how inner architecture is built. One thought, one decision, one response, one morning at a time. You will not perform this perfectly. Some days fear will speak louder. Some days old patterns will return. Some mornings you will reach for distraction before awareness. Do not turn one mistake into a new identity. Simply return. The strength of practice is not found in never falling away. It is found in coming back without excuses, without self-hatred. A strong mind is not created through perfection. It is created through repetition. The river shapes the stone through one violent strike, but through steady contact over time. Your daily choices will shape you in the same way. What feels small today will become natural tomorrow. The pause before reaction will become self-control. The willingness to face discomfort will become courage. The attention you give to the present will become peace. The respect you offer yourself will become stability. The release of unnecessary control will become freedom. Eventually, the person you are trying to become will no longer feel distant. That person will appear in the way you stand, the way you speak, the way you work, the way you endure. But remember, the world will continue to test the structure you build. There will be criticism, uncertainty, loss, temptation, delay. These tests do not mean the practice has failed. They reveal whether the foundation is strong. A peaceful mind is not a mind that never meets chaos. It is a mind that has learned where to stand when chaos arrives. A disciplined person is not someone who never feels resistance. It is someone who no longer gives resistance the final word. Every challenge will ask the same question in a different form. Who is in command here? Your fear, your past, the crowd, the outcome, or the conscious mind you have trained? Answer through your actions. Protect the first moments of your day. Sit in silence before entering the noise. Breathe before you react. Remember what belongs to you. Direct your attention with purpose. The mind is always listening, even when you believe your words do not matter. It listens to what you repeat. It watches what you tolerate. It learns from what you practice. Give it clear instructions. Give it strong examples. Give it a direction worthy of the life you want to create. You are not merely living inside your mind. You are building it. You are not condemned to remain inside old patterns. You can remove what weakens the structure and strengthen what allows it to stand. Begin again tomorrow morning. Then begin again the morning after that. Let each day become another stone, placed with awareness. Let each response become another wall against chaos. Let each act of discipline become another window through which clarity enters. And when the world asks who you are becoming, do not answer with promises. Let your life answer. Stand quietly within the structure you have built and say with full responsibility,